Well, welcome back to Morning Rush. You know, it was exactly 20 years ago today that that devastating Dunwoody tornado tore across the northern side of the metro, wreaking destruction here. And it took a long time for the folks here to pick up the pieces. We had some 1,500 people displaced from their homes that were ravaged by this very strong tornado. We had thousands of trees. There was what was called the Dunwoody Forest at one time, where trees were just uprooted and destroyed. You can see many houses were damaged from that horrible storm that hit. And this was part of a super outbreak that lasted 3 days across the country. This was the final day that it occurred. And when it did come in across northern Atlanta, it came down first across Dobbins Air Force Base. It crossed right over I-75 there, right across the Weather Channel, which is located right there at that intersection. Then it went right over Perimeter Center, where it managed to spare some of the more towering buildings there. But then as it moved off to the northeast towards Duluth and across Dunwoody, that's where it was at its strongest. That's where it was at a strong EF2, and it had winds of some 150 miles per hour. So definitely it was incredibly powerful as it ripped on through. It had a 4-mile path, and it was 800 miles wide. So the strong EF2 was actually part or spawned by a supercell thunderstorm that wreaked havoc in Birmingham just a few hours before that. It was an EF5 at that point as it moved through Birmingham, and then it came to Atlanta, where it did a lot of damage, and many folks are still trying to put things together. 20 years later, of course, the trees have not grown back.
Yeah. Well, this morning we are asking folks to reflect with us. Judy says, I remember that like it was yesterday. I was a senior at Dunwoody High School. And Cecilia Hadley says, home alone, hunker down in my safe place after seeing that strange purple and yellow sky, hearing that rumble as it moved over Perimeter Mall and Chamblee Dunwoody Road, scared to death. We want you to share your memories with us about the EF2 tornado. Use the hashtag MorningRushATL. We have some memories here from Jennifer Leslie and also Jerry Carnes. You were home at the time, right?
Yeah, I lived about 4 miles from where it hit, and I remember that sky. I remember it being greenish, but we got in our bathtub. It was the safest room, safest place in our home, and wrote it out, and it was scary. I remember being really nervous as it hit, and then to wake up the next morning and go to work, and then to cover the damage.
Any damage to your home?
No, not well, there were branches all around, but we were far enough away that there was no, direct damage.
Just call me Mr. Oblivious. I was on vacation and trying to disconnect from work, and I lived 2 miles from the worst damage, and I had no idea. I remember I remember looking out of my window in the middle of the night and seeing all the lightning flashing, and I thought, well, that's unusual.
So
got up the next morning. I didn't know until later on in the day, and of course, I guess this was just me back then. I called in and went into work on my vacation because it was just that devastating and so close to where I live.
Well, we're glad you both are safe and have the stories to tell.
That is right.
All right, it is 5:18 right now, so we're expecting some weather, some cold weather and wet weather, but nothing severe, right?
Nothing severe, thank goodness.
Okay.
This time of year, it is just one of those times when you can see volatile storms, but not this time around.